It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire, our mission is to empower. And our mission is to provide you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Deborah Dowling-Wahba. Did I get that right?
Yeah, well, I go by Debbie Dowling-Wahba, but yes, it's Deborah.
Wow. Okay, I'll just get it. Debbie Dowling-Wahba. Welcome. Glad you're in the building. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Shay?
I'm doing great today. I don't know if I'm anxious or not, but I'm going to find out, by the way, because I know we'll be talking about anxiety strategies. And I like for you, if you can, to start off and talk about, so the audience can be on the same page, anxiety. What is it these days? And what does it look like, if there is such thing, so we can all be on the same page?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So anxiety is any kind of a fear that something is going to happen that may not happen in the future. But it usually shows through, you might be breathing heavy, your heart starts to race, you might start to sweat, and you just get that overwhelming feeling of fear. And when you're in those phases, I call it, you get into the fight, flight, or fright, or freeze. And in the flight method, the flight stage, you want to just run. In the freeze stage, you just freeze. And in the fight stage is when you just stay there and fight those feelings and get back to feeling calm and somewhat normal. And that's where the strategies come in.
Yeah, but it seems like with social media these days that everyone should be just fine. Seems like they can just open up their Instagram and say, "Oh, I'm back on stride again." It seems like in the moment it's there. Here's the other question. I guess it's part two, really, which is, why do people struggle today with anxiety when we seem like we have access to more positive information than ever before, at least during my lifetime?
Shay, and this is where I started my whole journey, because of the fact that it really isn't that anxiety is now more around today. It's always been around. It's just that we're starting to talk about it and open up more about it. Even for myself, I talk about it more than I ever did before. And that's the whole thing, is people didn't know what was available to them, and they didn't know that what they were experiencing was actually anxiety because nobody talked about it. So it's a combination. Yes, you go on the social media, you see everybody's got the perfect life, and that sometimes causes anxiety because you think, okay, well, my life doesn't look like that. And that's not the case. Everybody wants to show you their happy reels, and that's not how life really is. And I think that gives that false feeling to people, especially ones with anxiety, because you think, oh, I'm not perfect, and you feel less than, when actually there are other people out there that just give you this falsehood that they're living these wonderful lives, when in essence, they're really not.
That brings us to a good point. I mean, maybe I'm raising my hand and asking the question, but how do you deal with not comparing yourself to others? Because it's so easy to look at what someone else is doing or have or feeling, and you feel like you're so far behind. So I guess the question is, and maybe it relates to anxiety, is how do you deal with just not comparing yourself to other people and where they are?
For myself, I realize that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And if there's something that I'm supposed to have, I will have it. And it's just because of my hard work and determination to get there. And we have to think about the fact that to get to some of these places, people had to put in the work. And just because we're not there yet doesn't mean we can't get there, but you got to put in the work in order to get there.
So let's look at two different tracks. Let's talk to the folks that have anxiety in their life. And it could be for a number of factors. This might be a loaded question, but I'm wondering if you can share one, two, or three strategies of someone who's struggling in their life. And maybe life dealt them a hand where they went through a divorce. I don't know. Maybe life dealt them a hand where they didn't get the promotion. Or for whatever reason, they're struggling in their life. What's maybe one, two, or three things that they can do? And don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes, we'll find out who she is. She'll give the background. I know some of you already read her bio. Y'all already researched it. I get that. But I'll get her to tell her story in a little bit. But here's the question. One, two, or three strategies that someone could use to reduce anxiety in their life.
Okay, my first recommendation is meditation for sure. You definitely want to try to meditate during the day. At night, I do it before bed because it calms my mind so that I can get a good night's sleep. I prefer guided meditation because I listen to the voice that's talking to me versus the voices that are constantly going on in my brain telling me what I didn't do, what I didn't accomplish. The next thing is I wear a ring on my finger, and it's a fidget ring, and I wear that so that if I'm in this place and I'm starting to feel anxious, I will actually fidget with my ring. The other thing I do, and this used to happen to me a lot in the supermarket, is I would feel overwhelmed with the shopping list and the people and the carts, and there's a lot of products in the supermarket. So what I do is I play the ABC game. And what that is I start with an item that begins with the letter A, and I go through the entire alphabet, and I have to find something in the store that starts with the letter A through Z. And usually by the time I finish that ABC game, I'm on the line checking out.
I like that. Check it out in the line. And is that rings? Is one of the things that you got yourself? This little piece of string that you made, or
Oh no, it's a ring and it spins. It actually spins.
oh wow, that's kind of
So
cool.
I wear a bracelet. I have this on my wrist. This is a scrunchie, but I also use it sometimes to snap. And then I have my bracelet that I just touch and it gives me, peace. You just have to find the things. I'll wear earrings sometimes that I can play with. I always make sure that I have something that I can fidget with when I'm out. So that's one of my coping techniques is I fidget with something.
Ah, that's cool stuff. Let's swing to the other side for anxiety in the business. And as an entrepreneur, I've been doing this full time all the time for 20 years. Every day I wake up and I'm unemployed, if I can say that, until someone hires me, right? And so the people out there, and it's very serious. It's very serious because I've been well low before where I couldn't even pay my mortgage, couldn't pay any bills, and found myself in bankruptcy and a lot of other things. So my question is, what's one, two, or three strategies for the entrepreneur? Maybe they're the same, I don't know, but it seems like it could be compounded even more because they just can't control some things that are happening in their business, or is that just my mindset? We'll find out what you have to say.
Yes, and you can apply some of those strategies, but I think the biggest thing that I say to entrepreneurs is if you have a project or an assignment or something you're working on, don't look at the whole picture. Yes, you know what your end goal is, but break it down into little steps. And each step is a step closer to your ultimate goal. So when you're in that situation and oh, I have to get this done, yes, you have to get it done. But when you break it down into smaller steps, it makes it that much easier to get to that goal without the anxiety of you haven't gotten to the goal yet. So just keep what's on in front of you for that day, get through it, and move on.
Yeah, and the questions asked right now is you're talking about. There's some good stuff, by the way, and we do got to get through it. Before I get into your backstory, is there you talk about meditations? Is there affirmations? Are there something that you tell yourself to kind of calm yourself down that you might share with us that you use? Because sometimes I guess it's called self talk, and I don't know if that's part of the anxiety or not. But I guess the question is, are there affirmations? Are there beliefs that you kind of share with yourself to empower yourself when you find yourself in that anxiety mode?
Yes, I do, Shay. I say I am worthy, I am capable, I am more than enough, I am a champion, just whatever in that moment I need to tell myself to feel that confidence. I am confident. It just, it varies day to day and situation to situation, but I say, I am. I always start the I am. I am happy. I am fine. I'm okay. Just the list can go on.
Yeah. So folks are listening right now want to know who is this person talking? She's rocking and rolling, giving us some good information. So take a moment and tell us what's your backstory that led you to what you're doing now. What was that defining moment? You said, you know what? I'm all in. I'm pushing the chips in the middle of the table, and I'm going to help folks with anxiety. We want to know.
Yeah, so this is a great question, and so I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, and I realized that I was living, but I wasn't really living. I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't present. And I said, something's got to change because I can't live my life keeping my kids in the house when I need to be out and doing things because I don't want them to feel trapped. So that's when I started on my journey of really getting into finding ways to cope and manage it so that I could be present and in the moment and not be with my head somewhere else. And I realized it was actually about 2 years ago, I started talking about it and saying about anxiety and opening up to people. And when they started to say to me, thank you for that. And people need to hear your story. I realized in that moment that I needed to be that person that I wish I had through my journey of anxiety. So it became my passion and my mission to help others.
And what do you enjoy most about what you're doing? I mean, obviously, this anxiety part is something you really love, you treasure. It's something that's your cornerstone. What gives you the most pleasure out of it? Because it seems like it could be, I'm not going to say these are depressing, but it seems like it's a lot of anxiety on people with anxiety. So what do you enjoy most about what you do?
What I enjoy most is when I see people start to thrive and being able to get back to doing the things that they love that they weren't able to do because anxiety was holding them back. And when I get that call and say, Debbie, I was able to do this. Thank you. I used this method or this technique and it really worked. That's enough for me. And just, that it brings me so much joy to see people getting back to doing the things they love that they weren't doing because the anxiety was holding them back.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, by the way. And, we have a segment here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks that wait to every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you now can go ahead and say those words. Today is my January 1st. Doesn't that feel good, by the way? And for all the new folks, we want to welcome you to the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It's an honor and privilege to have you here with us. Today is our January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means that past, no matter how dark and gloomy it is or how bright it is, the past no longer equals the future. So my question for Deborah on the other side is when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, what was a setback you had in your life that you had to bounce back from?
So when I hear that, I realize that it's a new start. It's a new beginning. It's time to try things that I may have been fearful of doing in the past and just moving forward. And my biggest setback was when I couldn't leave the house. I really couldn't leave the house. And just going out to the mailbox was a hard task for me. And it goes back to, like I said earlier, when I realized, I have 6 kids. And for me to have 6 kids and keep them in the house wasn't fair to them. So I needed to get myself together so that I could be able to take them to do things like bowling and miniature golf and do all the things that I love to do, but I couldn't do it because the anxiety was holding me back. So not being fearful is my mantra for this year, for for my January 1st, and I'm going to do things afraid and just get them done.
I love it. When we're all curious, you can't leave us hanging. You're going to do things afraid. We're all wondering what's one of the things she's afraid to do. I mean, and then she feels publicly sharing because, we're all like, oh my gosh, hey, what's one thing? I mean, not that we're going to hold you accountable, but we are curious. So what's one of the things that you're going to do that it's causing you a little, I don't want to say anxiety, uneasiness. I'll use that word.
This year, I think I want to launch my own podcast, and it's a scary thing for me to put myself out there and just be so vulnerable. But I really do think that opening up and being vulnerable and sharing stories and just everyday things of that what have gone on in my home with my kids and how I navigated those things, I think that it would be really helpful. But it's a scary thought.
Well, you got it. We all want to know. You've got 6 kids, and so we all wonder what's one of the lessons she's learned as a mom, having 6 kids, that's helped her in the area of anxiety. And what's one story or one incident that comes up? She says, you know what? This happened one time with my kids, and it caused some anxiety, but you know what? I got over it. Now, this is not your podcast, but we're going to give you the mic. It's not your podcast, but we want to know the story, and we're all curious. 6 kids. Oh, my gosh. We want to know the ages. You didn't say the ages. We're like, oh, what's going on? So 2-part question. It's your podcast now. Number one, what's one of the lessons you learned from any one of your 6 kids that's really helped you on this journey that can help the audience as well? The podcast is now yours. You got the mic.
So the biggest thing that I learned from my kids is being able to listen to them and hear what they're saying, understand what they're feeling. Don't ever ask them the question why. Always ask any of the other questions: who, what, when, how, but don't ever say why, because you won't get the straight answer. So that is one of the things that I've learned from my children.
See, you did well. You got this thing. I feel like you have your own show as well. Now, are you going to do a show by yourself, or are you going to interview guests as well?
I think I want to do guests as well. I think, I think that that's really because I want people to be able to come on and share their stories and inspire others. Because if I'm going to sit and inspire others, I want people to share their stories of inspiration as well. So I'm probably leaning more towards the having a guest.
Okay, so it can be both. So if you're on the other side, you're the host now. You're the host. You've got the mic, and I'm on the other side. You said, Shay, I want to ask you a question. I'm not putting you on the spot. This is not pressure. Don't get anxiety. Don't start sweating. Don't start doing like this with your ring. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, I'm joking with you. I'm joking. But if you had to ask one question and I was on your show, what's one question you may ask me? You say, Shay, I've got a question for you. What would it be? And I'm going to answer it as long as it's within reason. No, I'm joking. But I will answer it.
Okay, so Shay, my question to you would be, what do you do that to self for your self care and your self love?
Yeah. Wow. One of the things I enjoy doing is I get a chance to go to the gym. Now, I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but throughout the day, I have a very long day. It doesn't seem like it, but I do. And it's not the day and the hours, it's the conversations. And what I didn't know now that many years ago when I got started, how draining it can be mentally, having a conversation with folks and they're sharing their challenges and you're there to help solve it. And so
Yeah.
for me, running and going to the gym is one of the ways I'm able to handle it. Now, I belong to a gym called DMV Iron Gym, and DMV Iron Gym is probably a very high level a gym because it's for folks that go there that all work out. They're bodybuilders. They're into contests. That's not me. I mean, I could take my shirt off, but you're not going to see a bodybuilder under this joint, okay? But by going there, here's where the anxiety came in. I walk in, and I'm probably the shortest guy, probably the smallest guy in the whole place. Okay. And one side is powerlifting and the other side is very fancy equipment. And it can be intimidating. And I've gone to the gym my whole life. I've run 5 marathons. But here's what I learned. Here's why I share with you that helps my anxiety and helps me. These are folks, and I go to the gym at night now. I used to go in the morning, but I go at night. It could be 9 o'clock at night. And I'm dragging my butt thinking, I'm doing something really cool showing up. And it's been a long day. When I walk through that door and I see other folks that are there with their water bottles, with their food, taking stuff, writing stuff down, I'm thinking I'm not alone. So going to the gym and seeing other folks who are sacrificing, who we call the regulars, it really encouraged me and inspired me. So that's what I do for self-care. I get inspiration from other folks by being part of a community. So I guess the answer to the question would be being part of community to me. I know for some people, y'all can fly solo. It helps me. And that's one of the things I enjoy about meeting you. And I'm glad you're helping us with anxiety because it is serious. And I laugh and I joke, but we deal with it every single day. So thanks for asking. See, you're going to make a wonderful host. Bring me on your
Well,
show when
thank
you have
you.
it. I'll be one of the guests. Okay. I love what you're doing. Great question. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a rock star already. We got a rock star in the building. Next question I have is one of my favorite questions to ask, which is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? Now, I'll frame it for the audience that you've had a lot of mentors along this journey. Some you may have met, some you may have not have met. Some you may have only met online. Yay, you can have mentors online these days or through audio or through books. But if you had to step back and reach and just say, man, here's one idea that I learned that I hold near and dear to me that you're going to share with the audience. What is it? And you, the audience, you get to lean in now. You may never meet her mentor. You may never read the book, but you walk away with something that could change your life if you let it. Take it away, Deborah.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mm.
It really is. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because you can say one message and the words you use, you choose your words because it could either spark a conversation or it can spark an argument. So the most important thing to do is to say the things in a way that you can get your point across without sounding like you're starting a fight. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mm. And What do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world? Thanks for sharing that, by the way. I appreciate it. But I'm curious, what do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world?
Well, I like to do a lot of things. So I like arts and crafts. So I do some arts and crafts. And then I like to go bowling and I like to play pool. And I go to a friend's house and we go swimming in the pool and just whatever activities I can to get out of the house, I like to do. I like to go sit at the beach and just listen to the water. I'm not big on the sand because I don't like if my feet get wet, that sand. I just don't like that feeling. But I do like to be near the water and water is just very calming to me.
Wow, you said arts and crafts. Is it painting? Is it knitting? I mean, we say arts and crafts. Tell a little about that because that sounds kind of exciting.
I actually make pens. I know it sounds so
Hmm.
silly, but I make beaded pens that you can fidget with because I always look for something to fidget. And I also like my daughter. She likes to make T-shirts, and she's teaching me how to make T-shirts. And I also want to get back into sewing because that's something that I used to do with my mom. And since she passed away, I haven't been sewing at all. So I kind of want to get back into doing that because I do enjoy that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're an adventurous type of person. That certainly helps with anxiety, by the way. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days? Number one. And number two, how can folks best connect with you and stay in this conversation over and beyond today?
Well, thank you. And so what I'm looking to connect with is people that are specifically women, but I am willing to work with men because I do feel that everybody has to have those coping skills and that toolbox. And you can find everything on my website. It's anxiouslyovercoming.com. And there's actually a quiz on it. I did put a quiz on it that you can see, are you experiencing some things that may be pointing towards anxiety? And if you need help, you can book appointments through that and everything. So that's where you can find me. And on social media, I'm Debbie Dowling-Wahba on everything.
Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see you in person, which I know we're going to be doing shortly. I can't wait for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you for showing up, by the way, because without you, there is no show. So we appreciate every comment. We appreciate every like. We appreciate those that have paid this message forward to other folks. Thank you so much. And I never get tired every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, sharing with you really how special you are. She talked about anxiety. She talked about stress. With all the things going on in the world, you're still a unique, very special individual who's given so much of yourself to others so they can be better. And that you truly are amazing. You truly are incredible. And I believe for you today indeed is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. They ain't seen it yet. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, well, it's still Che Brown. Hasn't changed. The Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless. Thank you so much. See you later.
Thank you.